everyone, it's Tom from Ignite Digi here, and I'm pleased to welcome you to this video to celebrate the launch of our latest product, a collaboration with Signal Audio in Melbourne, and it is the Fusion Hub for DJI transmission. And its little sidekick, the breakout for tilted Nucleus Nano II. What is Fusion Hub? Well, I guess it's a smart hub, it's an MDR, it's sort of a mixture of those things. The core functionalities of the Fusion Hub are control Nucleus M and Nano II motors, up to 3 of them, via DJI transmission with the control deck. And then secondary is the ability to control Movi Pro and Movi XL, gimbal and fizz control via control deck via DJI transmission. So this will also be useful for those customers who have CAM buster. It will allow you to use DJI transmission as a long range link to control the Movi Pro and Movi XL gimbal, pan, tilt, roll, etc. With your Noto inertia wheels. I'll talk you through the rig over here first. So I've got the Mini LF, the Ongino EZ 22 to 60. So you can see here on the side, I've got the DJI transmission on our carbon side plate G mounted to the side of the camera, and you can see Fusion Hub here. So Fusion Hub mounts directly to the transmitter itself, and it can mount either in this orientation or on the opposite side underneath. So if you're hanging it, say off an accessory mount, you would run on the other side, and the cable's long enough for that. So you can see here I've got 3 motors, and I've got focus, I've got iris, and then I've got zoom here. So I know a lot of you will be really excited about this functionality. Those of you who've already got control deck or have been looking at control deck as an option. So I'll talk you through the different ports on the actual unit itself and what those ports do. So first up, you've got the integrated cable, and that is a 6-pin 1B LEMO, and that goes directly into the 6-pin on the transmitter itself. So that's powering the transmitter, but also taking the signals from the transmitter receives and taking it into the Fusion Hub. Next, we have DC in, which is 8 to 17 volts. That is a 6-pin J keyway, and that's J as in 2 little keyways down the bottom. And the idea of that is that it prevents you from accidentally plugging the 6-pin into the 7-pin for the tilter. So, where the pin outs are different. So we wanted to make sure that you couldn't actually plug it into the wrong port. Not only is it DC power in, it's also CAN bus out. So that is the port that you'd use with 1 cable on the Ronin 2. Then that will draw power from the power hub down here, all the way around, running into there, and then that is also sending signal back to the Ronin. So that's giving you the control of the actual Ronin itself. Next is the 5-pin LEMO, and that is gives you the ability to do the Movi Pro and Movi XL control, and that's gimbal control plus the fizz control. So the cable will go from a 5-pin LEMO to the small JST GH, which goes into the COM1 port of the Movi Pro or Movi XL. You can control like your Hayden motors or your Red Rock or any of the other brands that were compatible with the Movi fizz ports on those Molex ports down the side of the Movi Pro. So I know that was really important for some of you. You've already invested heavily into Hayden motors, and so you wanted to be able to use them with the Movi Pro. But this means, I guess, that you can, let go of your Movi controller and move fully across to control deck and DJI transmission. Last here is the tilter fizz. So that's a 7-pin, and that you can use that in a few different ways. You can go 7-pin to 7-pin into the Nucleus motors, and then just daisy chain through the motors. And then on the last motor, you could go a 7-pin to run stop cable. So any of the tilter Nucleus M run stop cables will come out of the last motor in your daisy chain and back to the camera. On this setup, I've got the Ronin 2 Fisher run stop cable because it has a nice right angle Fisher, so it's flush to the back, whereas the tilter one is a straight Fisher. So you can see here I'm hitting roll and it's rolling. I can see on the SDI overlays, and then cutting. So you have a 7-pin to USB-C, and that would then feed into the Nano breakout and then out to the 3 Nano motors. You can also go 7-pin to Nucleus and then 7-pin out of another Nucleus motor into the breakout. So you could mix Nucleus M and Nano motors if you wanted in a particular use case, say where you had iris motor might be a good one for a Nano motor just to get it in close if your build's quite big. and then you could have the focus and zoom for the Nucleus M motors. So here on the control deck menu, you can see on the new firmware, you'll have a section called Fusion Hub, and you enable Fusion Hub, and that opens up a whole different section of the menu. So you've got focus direction, so clockwise, counterclockwise, and then torque settings. You've got iris, same, and then zoom, you've actually got more functions. So you've got direction, torque, and then you've got speed. So you can set the maximum speed, and then the damping. It's actually dampening, but we couldn't fit that in the space. So then next, Movi motor type. So then you can adjust which motors you're using on the Movi Fizz, and then Fizz calibrate. So this will trigger calibrate on the Nucleus motors, but also the Movi motors. So the Hayden or that sort of thing. When you power up the Fusion Hub, if you've got motors plugged in and the Movi's powered up, or the Ronin 2 or whatever, it will calibrate the motors after 3 seconds, so you don't need to do this every time. It's only if you powered up and you didn't have the motors plugged in that you would need to calibrate, or if you changed lens and you wanted to trigger the calibration for all motors simultaneously. So you may be wondering why the Nano 2 breakout is required, and it's because tilter on the Nano 2 motor, these two USB-Cs are not the same. So this one is a power port and this is a power and control. So the run stop cable can only go out of this one, but it's also the signal in port and the signal out. So the way we're doing it in terms of controlling the motors via a cable from the Fusion Hub meant that we need to access each motor in on the port 1, not do a daisy chain like we do on the Nucleus M. And it also meant that the same port we were using for control, we also wanted to be able to give you the ability to use the run stop cable. So that's why the Nano breakout exists with all of those USB-Cs. So you've got 3 ports across the top here, and they are motor ports. Then the 2 on the bottom, one is labeled Fusion Hub, and that's the input. So that's connecting to the Fusion Hub. Or if you're running out of a Nucleus M motor, that would also the 7-pin from the Nucleus M motor into there. So that's delivering power in and also data back and forth, or control data. Then you've got the Tilter RS. So that's where you can use the existing Tilter USB-C. I think a lot of them are labeled for handle, like the Tilter USB-C handle, hand grip. They're the same motor, ones that work on the Nano 2 motor. So you'd plug that into there, and that would give you the run stop out for your camera. So, you know, we don't love USB-C as a connector. It obviously isn't as robust as LEMO, but you know, that is the choice that DJI and Tilter have made with the cheaper motors. So we tried to come up with a way to make it more robust. So we came up with these U-shaped, we're calling them, or 180-degree USB-Cs. So they basically go back on themselves, and the benefit of that is, say, you can see here, you know, it's not as robust as a LEMO, but it's a lot more robust than a straight USB-C that could just snap off. So the Fusion Hub's designed with those in mind. You don't have to use these. We do include them with the Nano breakout to go to the motors, and so therefore your kind of overall footprint is much smaller than if you had straights going out both directions. So all the tilter run stops are right angle, and then you could do U-shaped into U-shaped. So they play nicely together even when they're facing each other. So you can see here, you could go both ways, either side. The actual breakout itself is symmetrical in terms of thickness. In terms of mounting this, it's got a M4 and a 1/4 inch through hole. So, you know, you could see it being mounted on top of a Komodo or an FX6 with the 1/4 inch, and then giving you the ports in a convenient spot. And then the cable that comes with it, you would run from the Fusion Hub to the Tilter Fizz port on the Fusion Hub. So Fusion Hub input there, and then there. So you'd be able to kind of run it in a few different spots. So it gives you a little bit more leeway with the motors and gets all the different cables away from the Fusion Hub itself. So how can you buy this? Well, we're selling 5 different kits. All include the main Fusion Hub itself. There's no different licensing or anything like that. It's just about the cable packs and whether you get the Nano 2 breakout. So The first one is the Ronin pack, or the Ronin kit. And that is for those who are wanting to run the Nucleus M motors with the Ronin II or the RS3 and RS4 Pro. So that gives you all the cables you'll need with spares and the module. Then if you want, you can add the Nano breakout if you want to be able to run Nano II motors as well. And that kit comes with the cables you need to go between the breakout and the fusion hub, and also the nice U-shaped USB-Cs to go to the motors as well. Make a nice clean build. The next one is the Movi kit. So that comes with the cables you need to be able to run Nucleus M or Movi Fizz with the Movi Pro or the Movi XL. So we're including two different lengths of the Movi cable, and that's because there are different ways that people mount the transmitter. So the first one is a longer cable, which means that if you're running, say, a side plate with the transmitter on the camera, fusion hubs on there, and then you need to be able to get to the Movi Pro COM1 port up on the spine. So that one's long enough to run up through the arm and into the COM1 port. Then the shorter length is for those running the transmitter and fusion hub anywhere on the spine. So that's where it's a much shorter length to go from the COM port to the Movi out LEMO on the fusion hub. In terms of powering it on the Movi, we include a DTAP cable and we include a 2-pin cable. So for those running power expansion packs on the Movi, you could use the 2-pin if you're mounting the transmitter up on the spine. And then for those running it, say, in this configuration, but on a Movi Pro, you could run the CAM DTAP into the DC in on the fusion hub. So you can see here it's a really clean build where you've got the new kind of, the transmitter and the motors are just running off that one cable. So then you'd have camera power from the power expansion pack, and then you'd have one power in. So I don't even need a power breakout in this build. And I wouldn't either on the Movi Pro. So that's pretty cool. Obviously with that Movi pack, you can then also add the breakout for Nucleus Nano IIs. So with or without that and the cables for it. And then lastly, the complete kit is the Movi kit, the Ronin kit, and the Nano II breakout kit. And so you get one module and then all the different cables that need to go with it. Each of the packs or kits will come with a Tenba bag just to organize the cables into separate kits. So if you buy the complete kit, you'll get 2 of these, and they'll be labeled. The benefit of these is they fit really nicely into the Pelican case for the control deck. The other cable that we include in both the Movi and the Ronin packs, and then you would get 2 if you got the complete kit, is this long Nucleus M 7-pin to 7-pin cable. So that would be useful where, say, in this setup, I was actually running the transmitter back here on the spine, and then I need to be able to reach from the spine with the fusion hub to the first motor here on the Iris. Because the Nucleus ones themselves, I think the longest is about 20 inch. So the other one, obviously the other use case for that is where you're mounting the transmitter on the Movi spine, and then you've got your motors down here, so giving you that length to be able to run it around and down. For those of you who are wondering, well, what about if I have a first AC and I want the operator to have iris and zoom here, and I need to be able to split focus off to the AC? So initially you could turn on the wireless control on one of these motors and do it from the hand unit, but we are working on a solution that would allow you to go into the side of the Hibrite, sort of similar to like a CAM buster, so a module like a CAM buster that would mount on the side of this DJI monitor and run to the 7-pin here. So that would power the hand unit, and it would also take the signals from here and put them into DJI transmission, and then you would receive them and it would go out of the Fusion Hub. So that would allow you to go, okay, on control deck, I want to have iris and zoom, but on here, I want to have focus, and then split that. We're busy working on that at the moment, so we should have that ready soon. We're getting close to completing the ecosystem of control deck and CAM buster, and allowing everyone to kind of fully utilize DJI transmission in that way. So if you did have the Tilted Nucleus hand unit and you had Fusion Hub, then obviously that would give you that control with the new module. But then when you go to the Inspire 3 or the 4D, you would still need the DJI hand unit, because that talks a different kind of code via DJI transmission to the 4D and the i3. So There is a situation where you would need both the DJI hand unit and the Nucleus hand unit, and I know that is a bit annoying, but that's a limitation of DJI's code and the different way that it works. We're really excited to have launched this and to have it ready just in time for the BSC show. So if you're coming down to the show, come and see the booth, you can have a go, and I really look forward to seeing you there. And if you can't make it along, we'll obviously have more in-depth videos about each of the setups, Ronin 2, RS4, Movi, etc. Available soon, so that when we ship the first batch, you know how everything works and how to route the cables. We are taking pre-orders now, and the first batch is 50. So that can be 50 complete kits, or it could be 50 of whatever. We're allowing for 50 complete kits. And then the second batch will be 3 to 4 weeks after that. So we'll be working in kind of batches of 50. Thanks everyone for your support, and we hope you're as excited as us about this product. Go and check out the product on ignitedigi.com.au or follow us on Instagram or YouTube for more info.